Hello and welcome to Hawthorne Profiles, the show where we introduce you to some very unique and interesting personalities in our city. In this edition, we have 3 compelling stories to share with you. In our first story, a young man achieves his dream of becoming a UFC fighter and truly inspires those around him. Shante Passmore has more.
Christos Giagos was the kid no parent wanted their child to hang out with. Every now and then he would get into fights with other kids. And then one day he got into a fight that forever changed his life.
The year is 2007, and this isn't an ordinary street fight. Instead, it's a match between 2 UFC legends.
Me and some of my wrestling friends, we watched a UFC event. I think it was Chuck Liddell and Wanderlei Silva, and we decided that looks fun.
Following the televised fight, the teen boys headed over to their high school in Redondo Beach.
We broke into the wrestling room, got some MMA gloves, and we had like a fight night.
One by one, they took turns fighting.
I ended up fighting my friend Robert, who was 265 pounds. He had 100 pounds on me, but nobody wanted to fight him, and nobody wanted to fight me, so we fought each other. I ended up knocking him out. And that's when I was like, whoa.
For the then senior, 2007 was full of whoa moments. After attending Hawthorne High, where he played football, Giagos' mother pulled her son out because he was hanging with the wrong crowd.
You know, it was rough, fighting, alcohol, some drugs, I guess. It went to a point where I could have took 2 doors, and my mom kind of forced me to take the right door.
The right door led him to Redondo Union High, where it was the first of many new experiences, like joining the wrestling team with absolutely no training.
My friends convinced me to do a tournament, and I ended up taking first, which a lot of people were surprised.
The wrestling coach later awarded him the coveted title, Most Valuable Player.
I only wrestled 1 year, so I took it over some 4-year wrestlers, and that's when I kind of knew I had a knack for that kind of sport.
His intuition led him to a gym in Redondo Beach, where he started fight training.
First day of MMA class, I got triangle choked. That's when you get choked out with your legs. And I was so amazed that that happened to me. I mean, even though I got choked out, I was like, I want to learn that.
He studied the craft carefully by training for wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and more. Giagos' amateur level was cut short thanks to his rapid progress.
One of the girls that worked at the gym, she was like, hey, you want to fight professionally? And I was like, yeah, I've been waiting for that, after 1 year of training.
From then on, the Hawthorne native had big dreams.
The long-term goal was to fight for the UFC. Did I think I was going to get there? I wanted it. I had my doubts.
In addition to his doubts, his nerves are also another roadblock he had to face before a fight.
You start seeing people come in bloodied up, black eyes, cut up, and crying because they lost, and all that. You're just waiting like, crap, I'm up soon,
Giagos describes the moment his name is called.
You're walking out to the cage, you start thinking, it's showtime, it's gonna happen.
In another whoa moment for Giagos, his professional debut starts well, with 4 wins, followed by a loss, then winning 2 more fights and suffering another blow to his record when he loses again.
The Poppies Martinez fight, it was my 8th fight. I was 6-1 at the time, 6-1. If I would have won that fight, it could have opened doors to the UFC early for me. Now, knowing what I've been through now, I wasn't ready for the UFC then.
The fighter says the loss left him heartbroken. Recently, he came off a 2-win streak and finally gained his confidence as being a viable contender in the world of ultimate fighting.
After that, I started my strength and conditioning. I started training more. I started wanting it more. And it just, I started working on all the things I was bad at. I took it a lot more serious than I was. And ever since that, I've been on a tear, like 4 fights, 4 finishes.
4 unbeatable fights later, he received a series of texts from his manager.
And the first one said, do you have your passport in capital letters? And the second one said, call me back ASAP. So I was like, I kind of have an idea.
The good news, the UFC offered him a contract for 4 fights.
And I was just like, woo! I just got so excited and all my workers heard me. The fact that you set a goal and you achieve it is just, the feeling's indescribable.
His first fight was against Gilbert Burns in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil this past October. He didn't win his professional debut, but had this to say on his Facebook page. Although I didn't get the win, I know my holes, and I promise you I will be back as a different Christos, more improved in every way. Fans later responded with comments showing support. As far as they're concerned, Giagos is still going places. For Hawthorne Profiles, I'm Shantae Passmore.
To see when Christos Giagos fights again, follow him on Facebook by visiting www.facebook.com/Christos the Spartan Giagos. One high school has hired a new football coach to bring back the tradition of winning. Reporter Francisco Castillo has the story.
Olympian pride. This comes to mind when the topic of Leuzinger football is talked about. And after a 2-38 record the last 4 years, one man stepped up to try and bring back that pride.
Dameon Porter, head football coach, Leuzinger High School.
Born and raised in Los Angeles, Dameon Porter worked his way up to become a professional football player for the Arena Football League. He later decided to hang up his jersey and become a coach.
I've spent 10 years as an assistant coach. I coached both at Crespi High School and Culver City High School. I spent 3 years coaching at the community college level.
He applied to many positions, and on March 5th of 2014, he got a call from Leuzinger High School offering him the job that he had wanted.
It was a good opportunity for a guy who'd never had a head coaching job before, a chance to come in and build a program from scratch.
Porter knew it was not going to be an easy task trying to turn this program around. However, after holding his first coach-player meeting, he realized how much harder it was going to be.
The hardest thing, I think, when we got started in March was finding the team. There were 15 players on the team when I got here. Slowly but surely, we got the program turned around. We found the kids that wanted to do it our way, and we continue to find kids that want to do it our way.
Of the original 15 players, one stood out from the rest.
Adrian Galera, a natural leader, was the first guy. He sat in the front row the day I was introduced to the team, and he never took his eyes off me.
First time I seen him, I knew he was about the business because just the look he gave us.
Samizi Lewaki, a junior at Leuzinger, was one of the students that did not play his sophomore year. But after talking with Porter, he decided to give it a shot.
When I first met Coach Porter, I didn't quite have that trust in him. I didn't quite get why I should play for Leuzinger High School until it came throughout the practices, spring practice, where I finally got to trust him and get to know him.
Using experiences from the other coaching jobs, Porter says that as a coach, you can't just talk football with your players.
After school and football, then it's their personal lives and tapping into their homes and their upbringings and their backgrounds. And that's important at an inner city school like this, to learn a little bit more about what makes your players tick and how to motivate them and keep them motivated.
I've gone through a lot, and he's helped me through everything, grades, school, home life, everything.
Ahmad Aziz Taylor played for Leuzinger before Porter arrived, and he says he has seen a big change in the locker room.
When Coach Porter got here, he was like, stop looking in the rearview mirror. This is about now. And combining with the family and just looking straight forward, working for what's now, what we're trying to bring to Leuzinger, trying to bring it back, and I think he's doing a pretty good job of that.
After an intense summer program, Coach Porter brought one more tradition with him, which would help his football players be better prepared.
Coach Porter says he enjoys his Wednesday night practices, mainly because his players get an opportunity to practice under these lights in order to get ready for their upcoming Friday.
Coach Porter and his Olympians started the first half of the season strong, winning 3 out of 5 games, including one game that Porter did not know was so important to his players.
It was a lot of fun. It was my first rival game here. It was my first Mayor's Cup. I didn't know how intense the rival was. I'd heard about it, but you got to be there to experience.
As the season went on, the competition became more intense, with Leuzinger only winning one more game, making Porter's first season record 4 wins and 6 losses.
You learn much more when you lose than you do when you win. And hopefully we will learn the things we need to learn this year from our losses. And we go into next year with those mistakes behind us.
And going into next year are also a lot of returning faces, which Porter says will be key to Leuzinger's success. For HCTV, I'm Francisco Castillo.
Leuzinger's football season has ended. However, if you would like to catch next year's games, keep an eye out for their schedule on their website at www.leuzinger.org. One local artist has been very busy working very hard, but working with some of the most renowned fashion, automobile, and hotel companies in the world. Our Jennifer Wade reports.
Paulin Paris is a Hawthorne-based artist who describes himself as somewhere between a classical and contemporary painter.
I was always interested in art, even when I was a child. When I grew up, I was very influenced. My great-grandfather was a portraitist.
Like his name, Paulin Paris grew up in Paris, France, where he studied philosophy and art. He came to New York in the 80s to create murals for architects and designers.
But he brought with him a tradition that most people don't have here, and that's an in-depth knowledge of French culture and French art.
Paris ended up staying in the States after meeting his Los Angeles-based wife, Carmen. The couple are happily married and have 2 children together.
If I had a favorite painting of Paulin's, I would say it's of Sabine, his daughter.
Along with portraits, Paris practices a variety of styles, including murals, wallpapers, sculptures, and scenics. He prides himself on having a multi-directional approach to art.
I'm very eclectic because I try to appreciate things that are very different. I'm more interested in the effect of the art rather than a special aesthetic.
Paris walked me through his studio, which is set up for an upcoming gallery that is designed to bring art to the community level.
Paris, will you tell me about some of these pieces?
Yeah, absolutely. You have that sculpture. First, those sculptures, I do them with papier-mâché, and I use molds, containers as molds.
Paulin has brought with him many things and many talents that that you can see. It's all visible right here in this room with all this artwork.
I always love those shapes because they're all so different, and the way I paint them, I try to bring different perceptions or feelings into the wheel.
In addition to creating art for shows and private collectors, Paris has an extensive client list.
I worked for many great companies like Valentino, Dior, Chanel, but also one of my last projects was for Audi.
His latest project is a large 21 by 9 foot painting called a scenic that will be displayed in the MGM Hotel.
When that painting is on the wall, it becomes like a place where you can really enter because of the scale of it, and they're a bit like a landscape.
And these scenics just don't happen overnight. It's a long process that starts with a hand-drawn sketch.
You have the burst of those huge flowers here. You have the branches that are another type of dynamic, the expansion of the cloud.
The sketch is then scanned into the computer and color is applied. Once finalized, the colored sketch serves as a scaled guide for the larger-than-life painting.
It takes the time to come up with the right drawing, with the right balance of colors, and after the time to just paint it physically.
In just a few days, this painting will be completed and on its way to Las Vegas, where Paulin Paris will be installing the painting at MGM's Mansion Villa for guests to enjoy.
And you don't have to be a huge company or break the bank to get a hold of a Paulin Paris piece.
Soon we'll be launching the paulinparisboutique.com, and my goal with that new website is really to give people the opportunity of buying and finding art at an affordable price.
Paris encourages community members to create an environment full of art. Reporting for HCTV, this is Jennifer Wade.
For more information on Paulin Paris and for links to his boutique, please visit www.paulinparis.com. And that concludes this edition of Hawthorne Profiles. Thank you so much for joining us. For suggestions on future profile stories, please call us at 310-349-1630. Remember, you can also watch more HCTV programming at youtube.com/HCTV22. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.